We were scared. We were scared a couple of times. I was scared pretty much the whole time through. What am I going to do? How am I going to take care of my children? What's going to happen? And, you know, oh my God, you're too young to die. I became a bad husband. I became a bad father. I became a bad employee.
I knew that the only way I would make it was to go home and throw away absolutely everything in my house that I would not be allowed to eat. And I cleaned the cabinets and emptied them of anything that was not allowable.
It's like moving from death to life. The pounds just dropped off. I lost about 180 pounds in 6 months. People don't just wake up and become super health nuts.
In 1997, at about 38 weeks of pregnancy, I lost a baby, and at 39 weeks was stillborn. And about 2 weeks after that, I was hemorrhaging and was rushed to the emergency room. It was choriocarcinoma, which is essentially cancer of the placenta. It had metastasized to my right lung, and that was a stage 3 cancer, so the treatment options for that kind of cancer are chemotherapy. Several years before that, we met a man who taught about health God's way, and that involved raw foods and juices and a vegan style of life. And that's the first thing that I did, was to call for him. They brought carrot juice with them into the hospital for me. During the entire course of all the chemotherapy, I was never sick or nauseous one time, and I stayed well.
After Lisa got well, things kind of came back to normal, but we never really got out of the woods, so to speak. I started to gain weight and eventually had some problems with my ankles swelling up, and my feet were swelling. I couldn't even get my shoes on. So I finally gave in, went to the doctor, and they said I had membranous glomerulonephritis, which is just a really big way of saying your kidneys are not filtering correctly and they're inflamed. I was placed on a plethora of medications. I had an immunosuppressant to pull my immune system down, hopefully to make my kidneys work better. I was taking steroid therapy, which in turn forced me onto insulin, which seems to be the path that you go on. You take one drug and it forces you to take another drug to offset the side effects of the first drug. Also, cholesterol medication, high blood pressure medication, 3 or 4 different ones they had to get just right. I weighed about 370 pounds, which is a feat in itself just to be mobile. And I developed severe gout. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up without feeling dizzy. And, you know, besides the gout, my entire nervous system just pretty much shut down.
Because of the diabetes and, like I said, the immunosuppressant drugs, he could not fight off even a simple infection. And so he had this infection for such a long time, he hit his toe on the cabinet, which put him in such unbelievable pain. You would not think that just a small amount would do that, but it did. And he could not even stand upright. He tried to make his way to the bedroom to lay down on the bed and hit his head on the door frame on the way in and just collapsed into the bed. When I went into the bedroom, he had what appeared to be a seizure, which was not really a seizure, but it's a response to pain. I had the choice to either call 911 or to pray for him, which I chose to do first. I laid hands on him and prayed for him, and then I went to get the phone and I called 911. I don't have any medical proof or scientific proof that he died, but I was there and I witnessed that and I believe that he died.
I remember falling in the bed, and I remember coming to and hearing Lisa talking on the phone. And she was in the living room so I could hear her but couldn't see her. And I immediately knew she was on the phone with the 911 operator. So I started to argue with her. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be calling them. What's the matter with you? And of course they showed up and they did all their tests, and they were unable to tell her anything that happened when they weren't there. Just, well, your husband seems to be fine now. You might want to call the doctor and make an appointment. And it is odd that he came to after being unconscious and is lucid, because I was immediately aware of my surroundings and I knew everything that was going on. So that was just kind of a little yellow light to them. They were a little concerned about that. That doesn't seem possible, but that's all they could tell us. At this time, I knew it was life or death. The doctors were advising me that there was no hope, and they didn't suspect that I would ever work again. I found myself in front of my kidney doctor, and he said, look, there's nothing else we can do for you here. And I was placed on medical disability. I was having issues standing up without becoming dizzy or passing out. And my job required that I drive, so I could not be given clearance to drive, therefore I couldn't work. I realized that I couldn't live on disability or what the government was going to give us at that point. So I did everything in my power to get well. I went to see our friend Dr. Rawdon on crutches. I couldn't walk without crutches, and I couldn't make it very far on crutches. So I hobbled in, probably in the depths of depression. What he said was, what's the purpose of our meeting today? And at that point, Lisa said,
he's going to do it this time.
From day one, Dr. Rawdon challenged me to a juice fast. Made some recommendations about different juices that might support my body. Carrot juice, apple juice, celery, beet, several different juices that I was drinking. And he just challenged me to try that for 7 days. In that 7 days, I went into a very, very hard detox. And within just a couple of days, my gout was gone. So I went from literally walking on crutches and hobbling into his office to a follow-up meeting with him 7 days later, when I walked in at least 10 pounds lighter, no crutches, and a smile on my face. It's like moving from death to life. It's 7 days. I lost about 180 pounds in 6 months. And I feel like $1 million. I went to see the neurologist after probably 4 months of juice fasting. And she was amazed, didn't recognize me. Whatever you're doing, keep doing. I just began to feel more alive and more invigorated every single day from that day till now. Vegan Vampires just sort of came to me. It was a kind of a moment of revelation that just continued to unfold. I realized back towards the end of last year, 2009, that everything about vampires was true except it was backwards. In other words, everything that killed a vampire was something that was healthy for you. Garlic kills a vampire. Holy water kills a vampire. Sunlight kills a vampire. All these things are healthy for us. So it dawned on me that the vampire was a perfect metaphor for the nutritional and the healthy life. We pretty much represent that as the 3 bites. You always see vampire movies and it takes 3 bites to become a vampire. Typically people adopt a nutritionally radical life in phases. Transfusion with a juice fast, transition into raw foods, and then transformation with superfoods and anything that you can add into your diet. Our culture is so backwards these days, we look for things that we can take out of our diet. Do a radical shift, transition into a healthy life, and then look for what can you put into your diet instead of trying to chip away and have 1 or 2 things that you take out. It's a great life. So it dawned on me that, gee, maybe vampires are real. Maybe there are vampires walking amongst us and we don't even recognize them, because these are the people that are leading exceptional lives. They've plugged into eternal life and they're not aging the way that the culture does. Maybe these people are out there.